Hey there, YouTube friends. Mass Bandit here with another episode of Surfside Pleasure Beach. I hope you're doing well today. I certainly am. And if you like the video, please consider hitting the like button and leaving some love in the comments, as well as subscribing if you haven't yet. This is, oh boy, what episode are we on? 7? This might be episode 7 of Surfside already. Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying this project. I've really been enjoying it. As you can tell, today we are building a log flume, and it is heavily inspired by the flume at Galveston Island Pleasure Pier. I've realized the farther into this we go, the more the more I am being inspired by the Pleasure Pier, which I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, it's a solid pier. It's way more modern. But apparently the history goes that it used to be an amusement park and it got destroyed. And then a hotel was built on the pier, the historic Galveston Hotel or something, I don't know. And then that got destroyed in Hurricane Ike, which hit the fall before I moved down here. My wife actually moved down a couple weeks after Hurricane Ike hit. She was down here a year before I got here. And apparently it damaged the hotel, and it just sat there and rotted on the pier for a while. And it was just a couple of years ago then that the Pleasure Pier, the idea of a amusement park, came back. So anyway, this flume ride is a very close model of that. A couple key differences, which we'll talk about once we get there. But one of the things I really wanted to take note of was when Ryan built our flume for No Name Landia. One of the things he said that really stuck out to me is that when these flumes are built, their turn radiuses are always like the same, so they're always like perfect circles like that. And so I really tried to do that because I think it really helps sell the ride as far as realism goes. And this layout came together once I kind of got the idea of what I wanted to do. It came together pretty quick here. Like I said, it's really snug, which I enjoy. I mean, that's what we want. We want compact rides on a pier. So I think it turned out pretty solid. I do give it another try, and I think I just cut the video there. I tried a couple more layouts because I realized this wasn't like the Galveston. In Galveston, the drop isn't on the outside. It actually so if you imagine the drop, so you have your first drop, then it turns and it goes up and it's 180 degree turn. Mine is a little bit more than that, so that my lift lifts over the first drop. It doesn't do that. In the one in Galveston, it goes up. The lift is 180 degrees from that first drop. Or I guess it's parallel to the first drop, and then it turns around and it drops underneath the lift. And I try to do that, but because of the track limitations, and maybe my own limitations as far as the builder go, but it was impossible to get that layout to be as compact as the one I currently had, so I figured I'd just keep it as is. And then we're dealing with some queue things here. Again, I wanted the queue to be really snug, and there's no way to make this queue not go over the path or go over the flume, so I thought I would go ahead and do the go over the drop with the exit. That seems like a fairly standard thing a lot of these water rides have, is once you're on the ride, your exit takes you over the drop, so that's kind of cool. And I actually really like the way the queue and the exit work on this ride, the way it kind of tucks under and works through the structure. I really liked the way that turned out. I thought it ended up pretty solid. So a nice, decent sized queue. I think it could probably be longer, just because of how much the peeps love these rides. Like, Planko peeps love water rides. Like, it's silly how much they enjoy it. So I did want to keep the wood because I thought cement paving above a wooden pier would be kind of silly. So, and then what we're going to do is, again, big inspiration from Galveston. We are taking some planks and some glass, and we're creating kind of an anti-splash wall, and an anti, like, kind of a stupidity-proof wall, I guess. That's one of the things that shows up in the pictures. It's one of the most noticeable things after, the ride is these glass walls all around it. So I did that here over the drop I think it makes it look, it gives it a decided amount of jank. Like, this ride, I think, might be the most janky in its just execution, in that it's just all right, here's a pier. Nothing to it. It's just a pier. It's just a flume on a pier. And when looking at the pictures of Galveston, I was really surprised to see how the trough, like the actual trough the boats float in, really is it's just kind of there, sitting on top of the pier. And they have some really simple, like plexiglass and wooden fences to keep people from climbing over the fence into the flume area. Like, it is ultimate jank. And so I really wanted to try and capture that with this ride. So if you're thinking, that doesn't look very good, hopefully it looks good in that it's detailed, but it doesn't look good in that it's not fancy at all. It's like, this might be the most utilitarian ride on the pier thus far. So dealing with these supports was a major pain in the ass, because I wanted to make sure that they didn't actually interact with the actual flume. So I end up sticking some in between, and it's really, really snug. But I think there's just enough clearance to make it okay, because I really don't have any other option other than to move the flume all over. And I really didn't want to do that, because I had already started theming it, and I had the queue down. I felt like it was too far gone. I had to make it work with what I had. But then, so that's why these beams are so snug, so close. But I think it makes for a really exciting first drop. So I don't know. I enjoy it. Then we're getting some custom railings in here, and I messed these up. They weren't perfectly aligned to the grid, so copying them and moving them around, it actually got quite difficult. So I don't know. But someone mentioned in a previous video that they were excited to see that I did custom railings on inclines. I don't like using fence pieces, because there's no really good way to make them look nice. You're better off doing a simple railing structure like this. It's a little extra work, and it's a few extra pieces, but really, it's not so bad. I'd recommend it if you're looking for a way to snazzy up your inclines. I'd do some, like, if you're going to do anything custom, that'd be one of the ones I would do custom, would be, if you're going to do custom railings, I'd do them on the inclines. I think it really makes them look a lot better. And then I wanted to use this batten board throughout this area to kind of beef up the structure a little bit. And to be honest, it helped save on parts, so I didn't have to put so many beams and posts down. And this extension, this wall extension here, is strictly a Planko limitation. I didn't want to do planks, like custom planks here, because it doesn't fit with the batten board so well. And then I thought I'd throw this shark head in, because I thought that would be a great idea. And this shark head is super great. Just kidding. I wasn't going to use a shark head. I just wanted to play around with it and see. I mean, I could make it work, but I did have an idea. One of the old RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 pieces was actually this animatronic shark. Like, you'd capture, like Jaws, you'd captured the shark, and it was hung up by its tail on this big beam, and it would, like, snap at people every so often. That was really, really cool. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that here. And I just couldn't get it the way I wanted without having all the underworkings, all the animatronic pistons and stuff showing. There was no good. I tried it for a while to get it to work where those were hidden. And there was just nothing I could do. So instead I decided to go ahead and just have this shark. Well, it's a fiberglass shark. It's not actually an animatronic in the lore of the park. So I thought I thought this would be the great centerpiece for the ride. And you'll see what we name the ride a little bit. It's a very silly name, but we're throwing some foliage down and kind of sprucing it up, the main scenery piece for this ride. I guess this is the pier's idea of theming. And then going into the station, I wanted the station to be really simple and fairly compact. Small and not anything grand, just a simple cover to keep you out of the sun and to keep the boats under. I just figured that'd be the best way to do it. I like the mix of the shingles and the corrugated metal. I like that combination. I think that's a fun combination to add a little bit of character and a little bit of little bit of interest to the build. Like I could have used the, I don't know, I think it's called veranda walls. I could have used those, but I liked the mixing of the materials. That's something I'm trying to do more of, is mixing materials in unique ways, and also like with queues, having fencing on one side or not the other, or mixing fencing versus on one side of the path versus the other. And so just that combination of materials, I think, adds for a richer, more unique look. And that's kind of what I'm all about, is finding my own unique style and making my stuff look interesting compared, and different compared to all the other great Planet Coaster stuff out there. You gotta set yourself apart a little bit. We're getting a little bit on paths here, realizing that they are a pain in the butt. I could have done custom railings throughout the queue, but this is gonna have to be one of those shrug bandit, if you're on Bronation, one of those good enough moments for me. Just one of those whatever. So as at this point that I thought I had enough for a video, you can see we're only about 11 minutes in, and I thought, oh, this will be good. Like I had been playing for quite a while. I was really pumped with all the progress I had made, and I was like, oh well, damn. So I ended up doing some custom supports here. And it's really funny, in the update there were custom supports. I didn't use them. I ended up using the art shapes because they're the same thickness as the Flume supports. But I did use one of the custom support toppers. Those are great, the custom supports. I am loving those. And also using the scenery pieces, grouping scenery pieces into one unit. That is such a great tool. I have been using it for a little bit now. I use it a bunch for this episode, and I really, really enjoy it. It is so nice. I might have to start doing that way more frequently, because I still am in the habit of using one of those roof trims. I much prefer just making something and then grouping them all together. That's much better. These crypt fences work really good for this kind of beach feel. In fact, like I've seen fishermen use them in like a kind of like a dune, like beach fencing against some dunes and stuff, and it works really, really well. So I think it helps convey this beach feel that we have going on here with the pier. And got this little opening area here. We're gonna throw some crates and some random stuff in. Gotta throw in random scenery objects to make it feel like more themed. What I'm trying to do here is to use this netting to make like a little net tunnel, but I could never get the clearance to work right, and I said, screw it. So I sunk most of it and just put it in the middle there. It's good. Again, that's another, that'll do. Like, I figured if I were in charge of this pier, the people in charge would care more about the ride and less about the scenery. So if they could get to the point where, that's good enough, I figured that would work for them. So I put this vintage poster in there. It's really stupid, and I'm going to cover it up within like 30 seconds. So I did actually lay down some pavement here because I thought some poured concrete on this area. If I look at the Galveston Pleasure Pier, it's actually poured concrete, most of it. Most of the pier is concrete. So I thought the queue here, it would look kind of cool to have a different texture rather than just wood. So that's what we're doing there. Making sure it all fits, spinning that camera around real far. So here we are. We're going to be working on the do not enter fencing. And I realize it's really short. The reference, Galveston Pleasure Pier. The trough is sunk in. It feels like the trough is sunk in a little bit more than what we have here. So rather than sink the whole ride and mess up everything I had been building for the last couple hours, decided just to raise the fencing. And I think it works. I think it works just fine. I don't mind it at all. So one thing I did want to do is leave just enough space for an employee to get through here. I'm going to put a little custom gate here to show like an employee area. Like, it's snug. I'll have to put an animatronic in there. I'm pretty sure a person can fit through. I mean, we'll see. And one of the things that I saw in the reference images was right by the splash, the wall was much higher to deflect a lot of that splash from the passerby. I guess with space being so limited, you really can't block the splash from the people walking by, so unless you put up big walls. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Had an attempt at some custom walling for the flooring for the side, like for emergency evacuations. I ended up scrapping that idea. I don't know if I'll go back to it. I may not. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think it necessarily needs it. I might put in different flooring underneath, just to kind of sell that it's its own little ride pad. But for now, I think it's fine. And here's that idea of mixing materials. We've got the custom railing and then this wood fencing, and there's like 3 or 4 different railing types in this queue. I think that really helps just make it look better. And then batten board for our station. And I need to go back in and do a little bit more detail work here because the space where the boats exit in the trough, the walls there create too much space. So I have to go in and fiddle with it a little bit. A little bit of custom covers here for this portion of the queue, just because I wanted to eliminate that curve. I wanted it to be a straight, look like it was straight. But then I promptly make it so it doesn't matter because I use the in-game fencing on the queue anyway, so you see the curve, but you know, just we have, I don't know, those of you that aren't Bro Nation, we have a custom emote that is, it's the whatever emote, but it's got a raccoon face, and it's known as the Shrug Bandit, and it came along because that's kind of my MO when it comes to Planet Coaster. If it's good enough, if it sells the idea well enough, why spend an extra 30 minutes making it like, I don't know, absolute, I don't know, just hyper detailed when it doesn't necessarily need to be. Now, if it's an egregious thing, I'll fix it and make it look, make it look good. But I can't. I just can't. I can't sit there and work on something for like 2 hours that most people aren't even going to see. It's just not in my blood. So I thought putting a planter in here would be a really good idea. I'm not necessarily convinced with it. I think it looks nice. But the fact that I had to extend the pier there for it's kind of dumb. But I don't know. And you'll see there, all those little blueprints that I have spaced out over there, I do want to get them all in the park eventually. So we'll see if that happens or not. We're going to start with this popcorn stand by Fisherman. And it's great. I'll drop a link to his workshop in the description below. Oh, and also, I almost forgot. That's as I drum on my table. We're almost done with the episode, and I've been promising you the Surfside map, and I haven't produced. We're here in episode 7, and I haven't done it. I've got it. It's in the description below. If you want to build on the same pier that I'm building on with the same map, it's in the description below. Go ahead and do it. If you decide to, all I ask is that you give credit for the map, that you give me credit for the map. You can alter it, do whatever you want with it. Don't care. But if you're going to use my map, please just give me credit. That's all I ask for. And also, if you decide to use it, I want to see your pier. Find a way to contact me, Bronation, or shoot me a message to an MMmmmm link on YouTube or something like that. And I'd love to see what you guys do with the map. So that will also be in the description down below. Check it out. I'm doing some Star Flyer stuff here, or whatever it's called. Big ass swing ride, that's what we're going to call it. BASW, BASW. And as you'll notice, it's sunken down. That's something I'm going to be doing. I want to, since those flats are so huge, I really want to use the swings, but they're so GD tall compared to everything else. Just by sinking it down closer to the water level, it makes it feel a little less stupid. And it will also kind of break up this rectangle, and I think it'll look kind of interesting, so we'll see how that works. Throwing in some stalls here underneath the support work of the coaster. I think I might have to sink them in like one more rung to really make it look like they're under the coaster. Right now they just look like they're in front of it because it's the extended supports. So hey, big ass concrete pad, what's that about? Well, you all keep commenting how I need a custom dark ride, or a classic dark ride in this park. And that's nothing I've ever done before. But what better time to do it than now? So this is me, and it doesn't stay. This ride doesn't stay, but this is me just testing how much space do I need. And for those of you that have done something like this, can I go this compact with a ride? That's what I kind of want to know. Can I be this compact and still get scenery and stuff? I'd like to make it fit on the pier. I don't want it off to the side. I'd like it to only be about five tiles deep. So is that 20 meters? 20 meters deep, 5 tiles by like 10 tiles. That's kind of the space I'm looking at. We'll see what we can do. So expect that in a couple of episodes from now. Here's our title, Shark Bait Booha. And if you catch that reference, it's because you're an awesome person. The last thing we do in this episode is so doofy. But because we named it Sharkbait Boo-ha-ha, I'm sorry, it's late and I'm tired. I had to make some Nemos. Not Nemos, I'm sorry, copyright. They're not Nemos. They just happen to be clownfish that look a lot like the ones from Finding Nemo. No copyright infringement here at Surfside Pleasure Pier. My clownfish, way fatter than real clownfish, or way fatter than the ones from the movie. Oh, they're so doofy. They're so stupid. Ever make something so dumb that you can't help but love it? Yeah, that's those fish. Look at how stupid they look, but I absolutely adore them. And when we put a couple of them in, I think it's really cute. And so they're totally staying, and you can't convince me otherwise. There we go. Oh, we're making a school of clownfish. So that's why the ride is named Sharkbait Boo-ha-ha, and that's why we have some clownfish around it. Sorry, I think it's doofy, but I love it. So that's about as far as I got in this episode. So it's time to switch to the cinematics. They're coming right up in just a second. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Surfside Pleasure Pier. I'm really excited. It's really starting to look like a pier. You'll notice all this extra stuff I built that I didn't show. So we'll get into that in another episode. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever. And I hope to see you back for the next episode of Surfside Pleasure Pier. Talk to you later, everyone. Bye-bye.